Brian Doyle in for Michael Corrin tonight on The Arena. It's time to enter the moral maze with Jack Fonseca, Campaign Life Coalition. And Jack, there's a couple interesting ones today. The idea of a blind woman wanting her guide dog to be killed, and then the guide dog being presented in the casket. Is that my understanding of it?
Yeah, that's what happened.
With the blind woman. Are we missing the point here somehow?
Yeah, well, what happened was the woman's last wish was to be buried with her faithful companion, her 5-year-old lab. And so her husband carried out her wish when the woman died of cancer. And now he's come under a hate campaign and even death threats for killing the animal. And, you know, personally, I think it's kind of morbid. It's a rather morbid thought of killing your dog, having it euthanized and put it in the coffin with you. And certainly it's over the top to threaten to kill somebody for euthanizing a dog. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Like, to me, I've heard other requests. I've heard other requests, you know, being buried with a bottle of Jack Daniels, being buried with your, you know, favorite album, something to that effect. But taking man's best friend, putting man's best friend down, and then putting it in the casket, are we going too far?
I think it's going too far, but it's uncalled for, the reaction that's come against them. And I think, you know, the tree-hugging types, the left-wingers, the animal rights folks, they need to calm down, take a chill pill, and maybe just imagine that it wasn't a dog that was euthanized, it was an elderly person who was costing the healthcare system a lot of money, or maybe,
then they'd love it.
Or maybe a preborn child that was killed a few minutes before birth. And then they'll calm right down and be right as rain.
I could almost make an argument that if the dog was older, and it only had a year left of life, okay, you know, it probably has some attachment to this lady anyway and isn't going to notice. And I think a lot of the time we forget the fact that these are animals. You know, there is a difference. We are upright, walking, talking human beings. We do have sort of the chain of hierarchy when it comes to the animal kingdom. These are animals. So I would be okay if it was an older dog. But if it was a younger dog, maybe we let it live a little longer.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's got to be a demand, I'd imagine, for trained guide dogs. So, you know, should have let them live, but an overreaction.
Speaking of killing, a woman who wants to go in to have an abortion now suing the abortion clinic because she had a healthy baby.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, this is just, you're left shaking your head. So this woman, Miss Knight, and her fiance, they're from Ohio, and she had given birth previously to a son. Everything was fine, presumably, as far as I know. And when she got pregnant the second time, the doctors informed her that she had a condition that she didn't know of, and that was she had 2 uteruses and cervixes. So they told her that to be pregnant, to give birth, could be life-threatening to her. So she went to this Ohio abortion facility, had an abortion done. They told her, yep, it's all done. She left, and within the next few days, she felt still a lot of pain. So she went to see an obstetrician, and he informed her, you're still pregnant. So she gave birth to a beautiful, healthy little girl that they named Lillian Pearl, and they now call her their angel, their miracle baby. They've posted videos of her on
So they want
Twitter.
to keep this baby?
They decided to keep the baby after trying to go back 2 more times to get the child killed, to get the child aborted. And ultimately, they met some resistance because possibly the clinic didn't want to get involved with that after having made such a huge mistake. And so now she's suing the abortion facility for malpractice, saying you didn't finish the job, you didn't do it right.
Even though she's got a healthy baby who is, you know, her angel, as you put it, the one that she's, you know, got in her life and she's willing to keep the baby. I was going to say if she didn't want to keep the baby, there's always adoption and those kind of things available. But what does she really, you know, want out of all of this? You've got a baby, shouldn't that be enough?
This is going to make for a very awkward conversation later in life when, you know, she sits down with her daughter when she's old enough to probably learn what happened, and she's going to say, so Mom, let me get this right. You tried to have me killed. It didn't work. I survived. So you sued the abortionists because they didn't finish the job. Is that right, Mom?
Well, and I mean, what does this say overall, that she was willing to go to such great lengths, and at the end of it all is still happy with the outcome, is still happy that she's got this gorgeous little angel that she can tuck in at night, but she was willing to go to all of those lengths to try to get rid of that child. I mean, if anything, that teaches you a little bit more about, you know, abortion and maybe, you know, being against abortion, that it might be a better way to go to just keep the kid in the first place if you were blessed with it at the end.
Well, absolutely. This case actually proves that because the woman now loves her child. I mean, it makes the perfect case for defending the sanctity of life and having laws that protect all human beings.
When we talk about pornography, I had to giggle at this a little bit. 14-year-old boys looking at pornography. Didn't surprise me that there were that many actually looking at it. You know, you've got the internet, you've got all sorts of different ways you can get access. It's not like the old days where you had to go to a tree fort in the woods and everybody would look at a 1970s, ruined magazine that had been weathered by. Am I sharing too much of my own personal life? Anyhow, but when you looked at young girls looking at pornography, that statistic surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, well, I was surprised by both because this was a British study of schools that found that 100% of 14-year-old boys had viewed porn online and 50% of 14-year-old girls. And so it's definitely surprising. We tend to think of porn addiction as a problem that men have, but increasingly we see it's becoming a female problem as well, possibly just because of the easy access and availability of it, the over-sexualization of our culture where we're literally dripping in sex in all media, pop music, everything else.
But isn't this one of those things that kids are being kids? They're going to discover these things. I mean, we rifled through our dad's drawers to find the old Playboys back in the 70s.
I don't think so because, with that example, yeah, a lot of boys did that, young boys, but it's a magazine that you kind of look at and you hide away, you get rid of.
Yeah. So what's the difference in today's world?
Well, with porn, you can you have access to you're seeing it live. You can watch videos. You see hardcore stuff, and you can be on there. If your parents aren't watching what you're doing on your computer, you could be there for hours. You could become completely and hopelessly addicted to this stuff, and it could totally damage your psyche. So that for boys, you see women purely as a sex object, and that's how you're going to treat them. And for girls, you start to condition yourself that, hey, I'm a sex object, and that's how I expect to be treated.
So what's the solution? I've talked to experts before that'll say have a computer in a common space. Don't let kids have a computer in your room. Is that something that you would endorse?
That's definitely a tool, yeah, for sure. And I also think, coming from a moral perspective, as this is the moral maze, I think parents should learn how to talk to their kids about the proper role of sexuality. Sexuality, in my view, is a gift from God. It's meant for a husband and wife to express their love together, and it brings forth children, and express it in a positive way so that they have respect for themselves, respect for girls, and respect for what sexuality is actually ordered for, which is not just pleasure, but also pleasure, the mutual fulfillment and family.
What age do you have that conversation?
I'm not sure. It depends on the child. But I've known of people start to have snippets of conversations where they, even in grade 6, starting to have these conversations with the parents, because the parents are the best judge to know, okay, I'm going to release a little bit of information. I'll leave it to my child to question more, and that's how I'll know if they're ready for more, is if they ask for more information.
Jack, thanks for getting us through the moral maze today.
Thank you.